Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel once again, and today we are going to proceed on to our patients module. So let's recap that first, what we did in the last video. What we did in the last video, that we created migration, and then we created a model, and then we created controller as well as the route, related route. So what we ended up was something like this. We had a page where we intend to display the patient information, and similarly this is the patient's table that we created through the migration, and this is the model where we defined the relation, and subsequently we created and updated the patient's controller and added a route to access that, and then we had created the index blade. So today we intend to complete the entire CRUD for the patient information. So let's jump a start, and please follow along and have patience. Everything will start to make sense and you will learn something great. So let's get started, and I welcome you again. So first thing first, we need to create a couple of functions. So first one being the create function, and the other one that we want to have is the store function to store the patient some information submitted in the form, and then we will have a method to access the edit form in case where we want to edit the information of the patient, and subsequently a method to update the form, some edited information submitted. So that would be called as update, and finally a method or function to delete the information. So let's work on the create part first. So as we can remember that we have created the patient's table, but we do not have any information. So suppose that a user has signed up on our portal and want to update his or her information as a patient. So first we will check if the patient has already created a profile or not. And so an easiest way to do that would be like if auth returns the authenticated user, and since if a user is logged in and has a valid account, and this relation patient which we created in the user model, we are trying to access this. If a logged in user has this property, it means he has created or updated his or her information. So in a case where a user has already created his profile and wants to create once again, so we'll try to restrict that behavior since we do not want that. So return, and we want to return redirect and where. And once again, let me tell you that this auth function, this user, and then this redirect function are Laravel global functions, which I think we can access. Global functions. So this is a very long list with all the explanation. So let's move to the top, and we can see that there are a lot of helper global functions provided by Laravel itself. So let's search for some of the very common ones. So auth is one of them. The auth function returns an authenticator instance. So as I said earlier, you can access the authenticated user like this, which we have tried to do here. And there is also one function that I would like to discuss now is DD. DD is one of the important functions that we use very much extensively in the development process. So DD function dumps the given variable and ends the execution of the script. And there is one plain dump function which dumps all the information but doesn't stop the execution. So dump and DD are same in a way that both of these functions dump the information stored in a particular variable that we are dumping, and dump just dumps the information, whereas DD dumps the information as well as stops the execution right there. Similarly, we have redirect. So what redirect does is redirects to the URL or the route that you provide. So let's go and start using some of that. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to redirect the user to the patient page with error probably saying you have already, let's say that you have already created the information if you want to change anything, you can do so by editing the same. So this is the kind of check that we want to have, so we have implemented that. And let's see some of the functionalities of DD and dump first. So let's say that we want to check first that if the user is authenticated or not. That's plain and simple. So let's try to access that page, and since it is not available because we have added this piece of logic in the create function, but we haven't added a route for it. So what we can do is plain and simple add a duplicate it and create another get route wherein we will update these informations, and now we can access this part of the route. As I said that when we go into the detail, everything will start to make sense. So the purpose of the routes is to define a particular URI and then its corresponding handler. Let's say that in our case it is patient's controller, and then corresponding method also. Apart from that, we can also add the name to that, which we will make use of in the future video and demonstrate how things work. So to access the behavior built in the create method, we have to add a part here, create. So as you can see that it is now displaying as the information stored in the auth user, or in fact returned by the auth user global helper function. So what it is doing, it is returning as the logged in user. So let's say that if you are not logged in, let's say we have logged out and try to access that information, then the information will be a null value. So a null has been returned because the user is not logged in. So let's log in again. So we have logged in, and let's visit our patient page. So our card is stretched because I noticed one correction that we should make is that we should add a wrapper around this yield function. and we can see that stretched card now is rendered perfectly. So now let's go to create once again, because we want to create a form where user can fill his or her information. So let's remove this part because we don't need it, and we have added a check where if the user has already created a patient information record, then we are letting the user know that you want if you want to change anything, you should go to the edit rather than creating a second record. So now let's return a view, patient, front-end patient, rather than index it will be a create view. It will be a create view. So now let's go to resources, patients, and add a create blade. And let's copy some of the code from the index and paste it in here. Create patient information. So rather than having this plain text, now remove that and add a form with class form, and action, we'll add the action letter, and let's add a CSRF field first. CSRF is cross-site request forgery prevention mechanism. It's a very good security feature that one should implement in every form. So Laravel has made us available with this very simple syntax. So let's create a row and add some columns. If you are aware of how Bootstrap works, you could understand that. So let's add two columns, in a row. In the first one, let's say that we want to have a label first. Label would be first name, and we want to have a input field for the same, input type text, and we want to add a class to make it look beautiful. Form control. These are all classes provided by the Bootstrap. Value will be obviously blank, and the name would be first name, and name of the patient, and this will be a required field obviously. And let's copy this down. Paste in here. We will call it middle name. This will not be a required field. We will copy this and update it here in the labels for attribute, and let's try to see if we can get a view returned. Okay, trait soft deletes not found. Okay, we haven't added the use, that's why it is giving us error. Soft deletes sometimes. Okay, we have to copy this from here, I think. Usually VS Code prompts us, but I don't know why it is not right now. So now the application is able to identify what soft deletes we are talking about here if we are calling it from this point. So you may come across now what user patient but null was written. We forgot to add return here. So these are small errors that you do when you kind of make, when you develop applications. But now, yes, we did use the return keyword. Now what is the problem? Return this. We have forgotten to add this here also. Okay, so as you can see that we have successfully added the fields, and we'll keep going on till all the fields are added. So let's proceed further and add some rows. Call dash md dash 6 into 2, and we want to make this let's say 4 times. This is an emit shortcut that helps a lot during the development for repetitive tasks. So we'll copy once again, and we will this time we'll do it for the last name and function to last name. After the last name, we have gender, we have DOB, age. So let's paste it once again. Oh, I think we have had this twice. In fact, let's make it a drop down. Create options. After gender, we are going to add a date of birth field too. And let's make it date. I think we don't need both of these, but let's have it for now. age will be a number. After gender, date of birth, age, we have social security number, mobile and bio. Bio is a text field, so we can provide a in fact, let's make this a text area. So name will be bio, ID will also be bio, and the next field is mobile number. We want to make a button, btn-sm, btn-success. So we have everything good to go. Let's see if everything displays properly. So everything is displaying properly, in fact, and we forgot to add the class in this part. Okay, now the form looks beautiful, and since this button is kind of sticking with the field above it, so let's give it some space. Margin top 3 I think should do. No, it wants more. Let's have it 5. Okay, it went too far. Fine. I think BT and SM is too small. Let's have it plain and simple. BTN normal is good, and let's make it BTN dash block. If we want to have a bigger button, BTN block, it should extend. Why it is? It should BTN block should extend like here till here, but I don't know why it is not happening. And we also have to add the form control class to the gender too. So our form looks kind of neat and beautiful, and let's handle the store logic for this form and create some routes too. So first of all, in the store method, what we want to do is to have a request added so that we can access the values submitted in the form. Secondly, for now we are going to dd it all the fields, and right now it will not be able to submit the form to this method, so we have to create a route here. This time the route will be a post route, and this is going to be store, and we also have to update the controller method to handle this request. And now, as I said, that what is the purpose of this naming of the routes is, so let's see it in action. So this is a form, and where this form is going to be submitted. So for that, Laravel provides some beautiful helpers. As I said previously, we want to submit our form to this route. Now the form, the route has been defined here, and it is being accessed here, and now the form will be updated with the URL that we want, and this URL will be patient store, and then patient store is handling the form submission. So let's try to submit some data, and one thing I would like to demonstrate is, now once you access the form, you can see that the patient store URL is updated in the action here, wherein we had added something else which is transformed to that URL. So let's type in some information. Let's say tutorials college is the patient, and gender is maybe a male. I don't know what is tutorials college, but let's assume that it is a male candidate. So let's say that he was born on 27th of March, and ideally you should not add the age, but add some numbers. In fact, I'm feeling sick, mobile number, I don't know, some random numbers, and let's submit this. So the patient store method is not supported for route get supported methods post. Okay, sorry, this is bad. We will have to type it again. We should mention the method here, and that is post, which we didn't. So we'll have to type this information once again, which I don't like, but still. Some random number, and let's submit this once again. So the information that we wanted to submit is being conveyed properly. So let's store this information to the database properly. So let's first of all verify that our patient's database is blank, and now what we will do is we'll check this information again, that if a user already this logic is not complete, it should have a not operator, because we want to negate the logic that we are writing. So if a patient does not exist, if a patient exists, then this error should be returned, and if a patient exists, this error should also be returned, or if a patient does not exist, then we should save this information. So let's access the patient. Let's create a variable patient. Accept what? Accept underscore token, and I think submit. Accept token, comma, submit. So let's comment this out and let's see if the patient is stored, and let's dump the stored patient now. Patient model actually. Let's dump the patient model if it is created at all. Okay, I missed that. We also in Laravel, whatever information that we want to be updated from a form or from a logic inside a controller, we have to make it fillable first, so that the field. So these small kind of security features make the Laravel one of the best, because it gives you a lot of control in terms of security. So I think it will be a private property. No, it will be a protected property. Protected, fillable, and we have to define an array. Okay, so what fields you want to be? You want to make fillable. The alternate way is to make protected guarded, wherein you are telling in reverse that nothing is guarded. So for now we will go with the empty guarded array passed as to the guarded variable, and this time it should not stop us from storing that information. Okay, so column SSO not for unknown column SSO in the field list. Insert into patients, and the values submitted are these. Fine. SSO field should exist. Okay, SSN, it is not SSO. Fine, it is correct in fact. And so we have successfully saved the information that we intended as we intended, and we can verify that from the database. So the patient information has been successfully updated. We should also add this part to the store component, and let's make use of that. Let's cut that out. since both of these will be same, because this is the front end of the application, and where user is adding his own information. So in both columns, the user ID and the added by ID would be same. So let's delete this and let's resubmit this. Okay, we created the data variable, but we didn't pass it. So let's refresh this and see. Okay, so the user was added by user ID 1, and the user ID of the user for which this patient detail belongs is also updated. So now let's try to create the user information once again, when in the case where the patient is already registered, and see if it is letting us register or add the patient information. Okay, so it is redirecting, it is showing us the patient homepage, and when we are trying to create the information, it is not letting us do that. So it is great, or in fact somewhere down the line this video series will demonstrate you how to display these errors to the top of this page, wherein when we pass errors and success informations. We have done that in advance, but we'll show you in the future videos how it works. So far so good. Rather than dumping it, we can redirect the user, since the user has been successfully saved. So we can return the user, return redirect to the his own page, I think. So patient, sorry, not here, patient, and then there is another global function route, which is also very helpful when you want to redirect users. So now the user will be redirected to the patient's index page, where he can see his or her information is stored. So let's proceed with the let's work on this index page first. So now since we have some information, and let's make a check first. At if is the equivalent of if in the normal PHP. So when you add at if, it when it compiles down to native if statement. So let's check if auth user is logged in first, and then it has a patient record attached to it. If that exists, then we can present this information to the user, and we would like to do it in a tabular fashion for now, and even we can do that in cards. Let's make it th and td, where th is the header and td contains the information. So first name, so we can access if the user exists, since we have already checked if the patient exists. So since patient exists, we have all the attributes that were stored in the patient's table, so we can make use of it. So here we are going to display middle name, and let's access that middle name variable here, or middle name field here, and here we'll access the first name field, and here we'll access the last name field, and so on and so forth. So let's copy it down a couple of times. So first name, middle name, last name, and we have gender, then we had date of birth, which is DOB, and then we have social security number, we also had something as age. I think age was just after the DOB. So we have what we have left. We have added gender, DOB, age, SSN, mobile, and bio. We have added mobile and bio. So let's add mobile number and biography. So pretty much everything has been updated here, and let's also add a case. What if the information is not there? So we'll add an else case, at else, where we will in a paragraph tag show that no patient information has been added until added yet. So when a user has patient profile updated, then he will see this part of the information, and in the else case, if the patient has just signed up and haven't updated the patient information, so he will see this message. So let's access the home page, and as we can see that we have everything we wanted. So everything pretty much we added, and let's make a little beautiful maybe. Okay, well, we'll do that later. So our index part and our create and store part is working, and let's work on the edit part. So edit part, once again, will check and let the user only edit in the cases where the patient information is already there. If the patient information is already not present already, so if the patient is not present, you haven't created the information, you haven't created the information. If you want to so if this is the case, then we can, if the user does not have a patient record attached, then he will see this information. Otherwise, we will return a view where the user can edit the information using the edit form. So let's create the view first in the patients directory, edit dot blade dot php, and we will mostly, in fact, copy all of this from the create and bring it here. And what we need to update here is the value parts, auth, user, patient, and let's copy this, so because we will be needing it a couple of times. First name, middle name, last name. I will update it in a while. We'll work on this in a while. And then we have DOB. We have age here. We have SSN here. And also we can update the bio that we have already, if any at all, and mobile number. So we have updated the mobile, we have updated the patient bio field, we have updated the SSN, age, DOB, last name, middle name, and first name, and we need to work this out. So what we want here is that whatever the information is already stored in the database should be selected by default. So we have to add some logic here. Add f, add if auth. I'm giving spaces to those brackets to make it readable. Add user patient, auth user patient, then we want to have gender be accessible and check if it equals to male, and if that is the case then we will add a selected tag here. So what we are doing here is we are checking for the patient's gender property, and if it is equal to male then we'll make this option selected. Otherwise we will move on to the next, and this will also be executed in sequence and it will also check. So there will be one case where it will be true, so that field will be selected one. So let's update the route here. We want to have a get route, and this will be an edit route. Handled by the edit method. So since we are accessing the edit part of the patient module, so as we can see that the information is pre-filled that we have already stored. So let's update this, but since we haven't made the update method, so it will not be able to do that. So now since we are able to successfully present and access the edit form, we are good to go, and now we will be writing or updating the patient's update method, patient controllers update method. So once again this will have request as its input, and we will try to the user patient, and we want to update what? Request all, or return redirect to route. Which route? Patient's index route. And to return the user to the patient's index route, and we can also once again attach the success information with the session, which we will present to the user later. Information, patient information updated successfully. Once again, we are going to make a post route, which will be this time the route will be same, but it is not going to conflict because this is get route and this is the post route. So we will update the method and route name and leave everything as it is. So we have updated these parts, and let's copy this to be updated to our route in the form. I think everything looks good. Let's access that part, and what we are going to do is to change the gender, and then let's say we want to change the date, and see if everything gets updated properly. Okay, we have an error. Okay, so we, as I was kind of expecting, we have to add the accept parameter here, and we have to discard the token as well as the submit. And the information is updated as it should be. And the gender as well as the date of birth was updated. Now, since the date of birth is shown in the reverse order, ordered in the standard MySQL format, so let's change that behavior. So Urban is a date library, and in fact a very powerful one. We are trying to convert this string date into a carbon date, but we could have also done this in a very elegant way. We could have also done it very elegantly. In fact, protected dates. Whether it is date or dates, I don't know. Protected dates. Sorry, no, it is casts. Mediators and accessors, date casting. So if you add this cast method to your field, let's say in our case DOB, so we can change it to the way it will be like. So for now, let's drop this idea, but it is also one of the elegant ways. So since we have proceeded with this, we should format, I think d-m-y is what we need. And as I said, so one way is that whenever you have a string date, you can use the Carbon's parse function to parse the date and then format the way you like. This is for every string date that you have or date time that you may have, and then you can also add if that date is coming from the database, you can also cast that date into the model upfront when the data is fetched from the database. So that is one way, and then this other way is valid for every string date, no matter whether it is coming from database or from a form submitted. So I think we have updated the display part of it also, and we have successfully updated too. Now what remains is the delete part, and to delete anything, once again you need to check if that exists or not. So let's say if a patient does not exist, then in fact let's do that in reverse and auth access this part which you want to delete, obviously, and I think delete is the method, and once again you will have to add a get route or delete route. I will go with the get route. Delete or destroy, whatever you want to call. Let's keep it simple and make it delete. So this will be called as patient delete, and the URL will be delete, and this function which is going to handle will also be updated as delete. So once the patient information is deleted, we can return and redirect the user to the index page of the patient's controller. So we created everything, and let's delete this and see if it is deleted or not. And it is deleted. As we go to the edit, it is not showing us anything, and let's confirm this from the database. And it is deleted, but you may be amused at why it is still in its existence, because we are using soft deletes. So this parameter has been updated, and the record will still persist so that in case if you want to retrieve this, you can retrieve this by unsetting this deleted at column. So thank you so much for watching till this part or end of the video, and I think you had learned something new today and you had a good learning experience. Thank you so much once again, and please write to us. The communication should not be one way, it should be a two-way communication, wherein you give us continuous feedback about how you feel about our tutorials, and if there is anything that you want us to update or change, or if you have any suggestion, do write openly to our comments, and we will try to abide by those which we can. So thank you so much, and try to play kind of googly or boxing with our subscribe button and the bell icon, and have a nice day. Goodbye.